Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Boom!
Woo! All right.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
bell.
Look at these sound effects. Look at these sound effects. I could do a little.
Nothing but top notch.
Oh, almost had it.
So awesome. There we go. There we
wow.
go.
Yeah, we got all the bells and whistles. Jeff Lerner, welcome to the Insurance Dudes Podcast. Awesome to have you here.
I'm so grateful to be here, guys. I'm loving the life I live and living the life I love right where I am.
That's what you're supposed
Love
to do.
it.
Huh? Woo.
Love it. Love it. And you aren't an insurance dude, right?
No, although I'm pretty well insured. I think I'm worth more dead than alive, but I'm not an insurance dude per se.
Perfect.
No.
That's good. So you got the stuff in place. So before we jump into anything, Craig, I think you have a rapid round right now.
Oh,
for
I
Jeff.
do. A round of speed breakers. So
Ooh.
don't think, just answer. And
Okay.
let's do this. Have you ever had a mullet?
No.
First crush.
Yes.
Most embarrassing thing your mom ever caught you doing?
Masturbating in the shower.
We've been waiting for that. Fastest speed ever driven.
About 170.
Nice.
That is the highest
The
speed we've
top one.
had.
Yeah, it is.
Favorite
Okay.
cereal?
Lucky Charms.
How many kids?
Nice.
4.
Have you made cry?
4.
There you go. Count Chocula or Count Dracula?
Chocula.
Fastest mile?
I got down in the 5s. Something.
Ooh, wow. That might be the fastest mile also. You're just breaking records on speed breakers.
Wow.
Favorite flavor?
Chocolate.
That's correct. Dogs or
Yep.
cats?
Dogs.
Also correct. Tacos or burritos?
I'll rock a good burrito. It's got to be thick though.
Big
Like
one, yeah.
watermelon.
And ironically, after what we were just talking about, Trump or Biden, I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that question. So let's dive in here. And we just start with the inaugural. What was your first concert? You said you're old, which I'm probably older. But
My dad took me to a Tom Petty concert when I was 7 years old.
oh man,
yeah.
I gotta even throw this in there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, take us from Tom Petty to pandemic. Where?
Tom Petty
Petty
to
to
Total Pandemonium.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
so what got you to what you're doing now, starting back from Petty?
Yeah, well, it's ironic you asked about a concert and about music because that was really the first. I would say from the time I was old enough to have like a mature thinking life, it was music. So in middle school, I got obsessed with Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and I had to learn every note that Kirk Hammett or Slash ever played. So I bought, I just was obsessed, and Jimmy Page, and like I just got obsessed with like the rock gods of guitar, and I was an electric guitar nerd in middle school. And I found out I'm actually a pretty good musician. Like I have an aptitude for that, which was really nice because when I was 16 years old and I tried that thing that most people do a lot of, which is called getting a job, I between my sophomore and junior years, I figured out it took me all of about 3 minutes to know I didn't like it. It took me all of 3 weeks to get myself fired because I was so hard to manage. And that was it. I was like, I'm never going to get a job. I don't know what my life is going to look like. I'll join the Peace Corps. I'll join the military. I'll live under a bridge. I literally, if somebody said, get a job or deal drugs, boom, give me the smack, man. I'm your dealer. And I just, I figured, jobs are sort of a different type of unfulfilling comfort drug. So like, what would even be the difference, right? But I don't know. I sound so extreme when I say stuff like that. It's my own wiring. I can't help it. I totally get it for other people, and I employ a lot of people right now. So I'm grateful that everyone's not like me. But so I became a musician. It was a very practical thing. It was like I'm 16. I gotta do something. I gotta get good enough at something that I can go get money in the world, but still have as close to total freedom as I can get. And I figured as a musician, I can work in hotels. I can work in cruise ships. I can work, what do you want to eat tonight? I want a steak. I want an expensive, nice porterhouse, and I can't afford it. But I'll bet if I go get a gig at a nice steakhouse, they'll let me have some dinner too, which I now know they usually do. So I just thought being a musician seemed like it would be the answer to a problem for me. So I actually dropped out of high school because I'm like, school is training for jobs. I don't need to train for jobs. So I dropped out. I had a nice conversation with my parents where I explained to them my worldview, and they knew me pretty well at the time and knew that they could either work with me to find a middle ground, or they could go against me and I would freak out. So they helped me come to terms with the fact that if I made that bed, I was going to have to sleep in it. And I accepted that, and I dropped out, and I spent the next 3 years playing anything for anyone that would hire me. I became a piano player. I actually decided, I know I'm decent at guitar. I'm not so good at piano, but pianists seem to have better gigs, better opportunities. You can go accompany a church. You can go accompany music rehearsals or dance rehearsals, dance recitals. You can teach more. There's a bigger market for teaching lessons. So the gigs tend to be better quality. I can go play private parties at rich people's houses. And there's just a lot. And especially if I learn to sing, I'm a one-man band. I can keep all the money. I don't have to hire a bass player, a drummer, or whatever. So it was a very pragmatic decision. Like, I'm going to become a musician and a singer. And I dropped out. I started practicing like 8 or 10 hours a day. I was insane. I practiced so much that 10 years later, I ended up getting really bad arthritis in my wrist, which is actually why I stopped playing very seriously. But I managed to build a nice career for myself. I started at 16, 17 years old. By the time I was 20, I was good enough to gig steadily and professionally and kind of start rising through the ranks. Wow. And I was from Houston, Texas. And I worked as a professional piano player in Houston all through my 20s. And it was so cool because I got in with this one agent. Well, it wasn't all cool. I was really poor. That part sucked. But I got in with this one agency that basically booked all the really high-end, they called it the society circuit. So it was really rich people's private parties. It was, if there was a gala to raise money for a charity, if the Houston Ballet or the Houston Symphony was having a cocktail hour before the performance, they would hire a jazz trio. It was like all this upper crust gigs in town. They paid decent, but the thing I didn't know at the time was about to happen was I was about to spend a lot of time around really, really successful business people. Like I literally played in the homes of probably 50 people with a net worth of $100 million or more, and at least a half a dozen billionaires that I know of.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there getting FaceTime with guys. Like, I'll show up 2 hours early for the gig to either load my keyboard in or go find the piano and warm up and hang out. And I'm hanging out now in the homes of like Tillman Fertitta, the guy that owns the Rockets, who's on $1 Billion Buyer now. He's got his own TV show. I'm hanging out in the homes of Charles Butt, the founder of H-E-B grocery stores. Bob McNair, who owned the Houston Texans and founded Cogeneration Energy Company. I hung out at Andy Fastow's house, the CFO of Enron, which is not such a glamorous thing now. And I got to meet these people. And I got kind of brazen where I would be like, I'm a musician, but I have an interest in business. So like, how the hell did you get so rich? And I would like ask them these questions. And what I found is when people like that meet like a young, hungry person with good energy and enthusiasm, they're like grateful to share. Yeah. And so I started taking notes. I started making a study. It was kind of like an early Napoleon Hill of like, I'm going to study all these really, really successful people, because I realized what a rare thing it was that I had any sort of access to them at all. And they were having me in very informal settings. Like I played at James Baker, former Secretary of State. I played like his 80th birthday party with like him and 9 of his friends.
Wow.
And I'm just hanging out. Awesome. And so I'm talking to these people, and I started to get this itch of like, I'm going to start a business, man, because I love what I'm feeling, but I hate how poor I am. And so I'm going to do whatever I can do to maintain the creativity and the freedom, but like, I got to get some money. And I started starting businesses one after the other, failure after failure after failure, all through my 20s. My tax return never showed more than 40 grand a year. Truthfully, I probably made more like 50 or 60 because I got a lot of cash tips. But I just one after the other starting businesses. And finally, by the time I was 28, I started these 2 franchise restaurants. I thought I'd really graduated to like a real business. I was going to get big bank loans and buy into this system and this turnkey. I had an operations manual. And what I realized is that that's not, that doesn't actually mean anything. And especially in 2007, when I opened those in the Great Recession, I was out of business by 2008. I was 20, I guess at that time, 29 years old, had $495,000 in debt, 2 5-year leases that I was only a year into, back taxes, payroll taxes, unemployment taxes, just a world of hurt. And I was a piano player. Like, what the heck does a piano player do? And he's $500,000 in debt. By the way, my wife was leaving me. I was depressed. I was overweight. I started to get arthritis in my wrist. So I couldn't even go, not that you could ever do enough gigs to dig out of that much debt, but I couldn't even try. So it was a really bad time. And I discovered the world of online business and online lead generation and affiliate marketing and social media. It was early social media back then, 2008, 2009. And I spent 395 of my last dollars buying this training course on how to do affiliate marketing. And I found that I do tend to be pretty good when I'm sitting at a keyboard, whether it's a computer keyboard or a piano keyboard. And I paid off $495,000 in debt in 18 months with affiliate marketing. And I've just never stopped. It's been 12 years now of just leveraging one digital opportunity into the next. I also do some real estate investing, but I've, in 12 years done about $60 million in sales, and life is a lot better now.
Yeah. Better than being $500,000 in debt. Would you say that there's a connection between being a musician and being an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I actually, at one point, I built a sales funnel around this once called From Music to Millions. And I even considered writing a book about it. And I wouldn't say I've stopped considering it. I'm writing another book first, but yeah, very much so. And I would say, the easiest way to explain it without getting too far down an esoteric rabbit hole is essentially, especially a jazz musician. Jazz musicians they're given a set of knowns, a set of variables, and a framework within which to improvise, right? Like, the rhythm, the harmony, what key you're in, some version of the chord changes, but you have permission to change them. Ideally, the melody, the tune, although sometimes you don't, you're just following someone else. And then you're told, don't screw up, make it cool, keep up, go. Isn't that business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get really, really good at adapting on the fly, because as a jazz musician, you might be jamming out on rhythm changes in G major, and you want to go here where you sharp the secondary dominant to the 6th chord, but the bass player has a different idea and he's going to do a tritone substitution. And suddenly you've got this, just because 2 people made different choices, there's a super weird dissonance that you can either freak out and go, I hit a wrong note, and throw up your hands and ruin the whole performance, or you can just resolve. Usually you just go up a half step. And it sounds like some sort of cool, artsy choice that you made because you just kept your cool and you resolved the tension.
Yeah.
That's business.
A lot of similarity, because you can't be afraid to fail either, right? As an entrepreneur. And
exactly. And as a jazz musician, you're hitting notes that, according to classical theory, somebody would say that was a fail.
Right.
Like, you fail like 700 times per performance, but you always resolve out of it.
Love it. What was your first affiliate that you work with? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I actually got involved in this training platform that was amazing. And I had I actually had this like counterintuitive passion for education. I dropped out of high school, not because I hated education, but because I thought I could educate myself better. And so I've been, I'm an obsessive reader. I joke all the time, I was born a learner. I can't help it. Like, I'm obsessed with education. So when I got into this marketing training platform and I was like, this has a lot of great training and a lot of great tools. I immediately saw, this is what I've always wanted. It's a world where the training and the subject matter is very applicable. It's very valuable in the real world. I could learn this today and I could make money tomorrow. Not like school, where it's like I could learn this today And then if I'm ever on Jeopardy 9 years from now, hopefully I can remember the factoid and Alex Trebek will be proud of me, right? Like, but I'll never get paid to know, chapter 4 of Thucydides' History of the Peloponnesian War. Like, who cares? So I was excited. I was in a world where everything mattered and it was all on me to learn. So I I will confess right now, I actually don't even remember the original question, but I will just tell you that I got excited. I started learning and I started making money. Maybe now you can remind me what the original question
It was the first, I guess, internet marketing. So the first dollar you made.
Yeah. The first thing I affiliated with, I was like, this training is amazing. I wonder if it has an affiliate program. And it did. And I started selling the training that I was learning from to other people because I recognized very early, if I'm going to promote something that isn't actually my product that I created, it needs to at least be my passion that I believe in. And considering how much I'm loving this training, I should promote that because I can speak to it as a customer.
Love it. And through that journey, so from that first day, you've obviously crushed it. I mean, within 18 months, that's incredible. What were you learning? Like, what were some of the first things that, like, those aha moments that you had?
It was all around the power of language. It was like, I'm a reader. I love words. I've always been able to like talk pretty fast and string some sentences together that sounded okay. But there's such a difference between, creating like florid, language, creative language, and actually structuring copy that drives reader behavior to say, go here, watch this, think this, click this, now do this, now go here, now pull out your credit card, now buy a product. That you could get somebody who's 10,000 miles away, they could literally be sitting on the toilet with their phone, although at the time, 2008, it wasn't so much smartphones. It was, I don't know, maybe their laptop or whatever. And you could convince them to buy something if you just mastered the power of influential language. That changed my life. Selling through the written word, basically.
Yeah. And then so from that, take us through some next steps that got you to, now we have Entre Institute, right?
Yeah, Entre Institute. So essentially now, Entre was my way of saying, okay, I've done enough. I've solved all my own problems. Now, how can I tackle a bigger challenge and serve a lot of people? It's not all like altruism. I'm a capitalist. Like, Entre makes money. I love it. But great businesses solve great problems or terrible problems, depending on how you frame it. And so Entre is essentially trying to deal with what I experienced from day one and what I guess I was just a little more willing to act out on, which is that the mainstream education system does a woeful job of equipping people to actually take advantage of the opportunities that exist in this world. Harvard, I'll give you a quick example. Harvard tried to put together a course on how to do Facebook marketing. It took them 2 years to decide on a syllabus. And by the time they started creating the course, Facebook had already changed their platform twice, and it was all obsolete. And none of the principles were the right principles anymore. Like, traditional education just does a horrible job. You guys talk to insurance agents, you talk to real estate agents, you talk to anybody that's an agent, right? That's like your jam. Yeah. I have a running joke in my town because I have some friends that are realtors. That's like, y'all better hope that I don't decide to go into residential real estate because I'll own this town because I know how to market on the internet better than you.
Yeah.
And like, why aren't schools, even trade schools? I talked, my aunt was here earlier. She's retired, but she was a radiologist for 40 years, a doctor. And I was telling her, I interviewed this guy yesterday on my podcast who has a healthcare business owner coaching program to help healthcare, professionals, doctors, chiropractors, et cetera, that own their own clinics, scale their businesses. And she's like, oh yeah, they don't even hint at that in medical school. They just put you out in the world on the assumption that the business part will take care of itself, which you find out really quickly it doesn't. Like, school doesn't teach people how to grow businesses, even MBAs. I've hired MBAs. When it comes to direct response marketing, they can't find their ass from a hole in the ground. Like, it's, right. And so Entre is out to solve that problem. Like, we want to be the Harvard University of stuff you can actually go immediately make money with. The average Harvard graduate 12 years out of Harvard. Let me say again, Harvard, the most prestigious academic institution in the world. 12 years out of Harvard, the average graduate's making $84,000 a year, which is not even enough to live comfortably in a major city. And I guarantee you the average Harvard graduate got that job that Harvard got them in a major city. So basically you're poor. You go to Harvard so you can be poor and be paying off student loans.
And yeah, you're at 400 grand in debt. 400 grand in debt, right?
It's
insane.
Crazy.
But
our job's to change that.
That perception of the even the Ivy League, like the Ivy League schools it's insane. It is really crazy. My wife works in biotech, and she doesn't have an Ivy League degree or anything. She did psychology at University of Arizona, and now she's a director. And the people around her all have, Ivy League PhDs, and so she sometimes gets in this spot where she's, thinks that they're better. I'm like, more. Right. You got to where you got, not because of your paper, but because you hustled. And
you're gonna be so depleted after paying off all that debt that you're actually gonna need an IV to live. That's what they call it.
Right. That's great.
I love I love marketing. I love the correlation between that and insurance sales, because it's all the same. We are internet marketing, especially nowadays where we're sending out emails, we're texting, it's all communication. And to your point, there's not much in school to teach us how to effectively communicate and how to push people in the direction of the results that we want to get. What are some of the things that, like, aha moments that you had in that journey of like learning about this direct response marketing?
Yeah. So, the first book that anybody should start with is a book called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And it's going to explain the 6 principles of persuasion, which, forgive me, I'm going to make sure I remember them, but it's authority, liking, reciprocity, social proof. Oh, come on, Jeff. It's I don't know. It's like my 3rd interview today. And there's 2 more: authority, reciprocity, liking, social proof, commitment and consistency. And I'm forgetting the 6th one. But anyways, go read that book and you realize, like, oh, you can get people to do stuff. And as a business owner, all you're trying to do is get people to do stuff. But the idea is you don't want to be manipulative. You want to be value focused, which a lot of these principles, these principles are like magical powers. They can be used for good. They can be used for bad. Mm-hmm. So like take something like authority and reciprocity, right? People respond to authority. They've done experiments. They've done psychology experiments where they have people, tell people to do bad stuff. And people say, no, I don't want to do that. And then they have the same guy walk in with a clipboard and a laboratory coat and tell people this is for science, do bad stuff. And people go, oh, yes, sir, right? Because it's for science and you're a scientist and you have authority. They've done all these experiments, reciprocity, do for others. And they want to there's like this, it's like uncomfortable to receive gifts because you feel like you owe the person something, right? Yeah. It's human nature to reciprocate. It's tribal. It's how we survived in small villages. So when you learn about these principles, you go, oh, how do I create reciprocity and authority in the market? Who has more? Who are we conditioned to view as authorities? There's 2 types of people that every child views as an authority. One is their teachers. 2 is people they see on TV or now YouTube, right? Look at the way kids worship these people on YouTube that are like doing dumb pranks, but because they see them on video, they think they're authorities, right? Yeah. So, okay, how do we build reciprocity and authority in the market? Let's start teaching on video, positioning ourselves in authority, giving a ton of value, so much that people feel like they owe us something back. Why is Jeff Lerner have really good conversions? And why am I able to run Facebook ads profitably in a season like the last 6 months when it's been a disaster for most people because of the election, because of COVID, because of Facebook tightening their algorithms because they actually want to shake all the weak hands off of their platform because they have too many advertisers and a variety of other reasons. Why have I been able to profitably run Facebook ads when most other people were struggling, at least in my industry? Because I've built up authority and reciprocity. Go look at my YouTube channel. I have 400 videos where I teach you valuable stuff for free. It's a perfect example,
To be continued.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Craig.
That was another awesome episode, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if people want to get a little bit more action and learn how to do write 100,000 in premium off of even the worst internet leads, where could they go?
They can go to live.teledudes.com.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Are we going to be there?
Yes, it's a weekly call that we're doing right now it's live, and it will show you the process. The entire process is super awesome.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Sign up right now, live.teledudes.com.
Live.teledudes.com. That's live.teledudes.com.
Hey, Craig, there's a new community that we are starting that I cannot wait to tell everybody about. It is our live texting community where you and I are going to answer people's questions and give them free content, right?
Are you kidding me? We get to talk to them?
Yeah, which is awesome, but they have to opt in. They have to text us at 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
Nice.
Craig, are you going to respond to these texts?
I'm going to respond to them for sure. Live.
I'm into it too. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be our new texting community where we're going to get back to everybody that we can and drop some crazy content, free content, and free the calculator that you just came up with. That's right. The calling calculator, sales material. I mean, everything for insurance agents. This is it. It's the best texting community out there for insurance agents.
Well, what the heck is that number again? I can't remember it.
It's 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
I love it. I'm going to text it right now.
520-214-2219.
All right. I'll see you later, Mr. Jason.
Bye, Mr. Craig.
Wait, do they even listen to this on the radio anymore?
I love it. I love it.
Nice.
All right.